So I've made my pick for Oregon's leading receiver. I think that'll be Decorian Moore. I think that's going to be a really fun battle to watch throughout the year. Leading rusher, I haven't done because I think it's pretty obviously going to be Mekhi Hughes unless, I'll get to that a little later on the show. Leading sack man, I'm going Mateo. Hard to go in another direction, but if Amari Washington does it, I am going to be bullish beyond belief here on my own ability to forecast football players' productivity. But what about the leading tackler? So I think there are two pretty clear options here for who leads Oregon in tackles by the time the 2025 season comes to a close. I think a lot of you are going to jump to Bryce Betcher. Not a bad pick at all. Led Oregon in tackles last year. Incredibly experienced guy. He is everywhere. No reason to think that isn't going to happen. I wouldn't overlook Dillon Thieneman in this conversation because this is a guy who in 2 seasons at Purdue totaled 106 and 104 tackles. Okay. Bryce Betcher last year, I believe, had 94 tackles. He had 94 tackles. The most he'd had in a season before that was 2023 when he had 37. So, yeah, I think Bryce Betcher will be in the 80-90 tackle range this year. But this guy, Dillon Thieneman, you're going to hear some love from him on tomorrow's show from the guests that I'll have. Make sure you tune into that because it'll be fun. I'm actually going to go with Dillon Thieneman here. And it's not that I don't think Bryce Betcher is going to be a tackling machine. I fully anticipate that he will. I think from a snap count standpoint, you'll probably see a little bit more of Thieneman than Bryce Betcher just because linebackers get rotated out more than defensive backs. So I'll go with Thieneman. I think Bryce Betcher's a good pick, but if you have a dark horse pick, let me know in the comments below. Curious to see what you guys think. Who leads Oregon in tackles on the defensive side of the ball? Not this week, this year. This year. So Zaheem sends in this forward-looking take for Spencer's scale of agreement. Mateo, Thieneman, Mekhi Hughes, and Poncho all come back for the 2026 season. Oregon wins the Natty. Kenyon Sadiq is gone to the league, but Dante Moore is still around. Well, I mean, first of all, this would be fantastic in so many ways. Not the least of which is if Kenyon Sadiq is gone to the league, that means he probably has like 700-800 yards this year and sets the Oregon single-season record for receiving yards by a tight end. That would be cool. You'll hear love from him on tomorrow's show as well. But I think 2026, if Dante Moore comes back, man, the potential to be one of the best teams in college football, like truly one of the 2 or 3 best going into the year, and then being able to live up to that, it's going to be so unbelievably real. There will be a determination in my mind based on how many of these guys stay. Because I think Mekhi Hughes, who I like, everybody likes, is the most replaceable just because of the position that he plays. If Oregon could get, let's say Sadiq is gone, between the 4 you listed, if 2 of them come back along with Dante Moore, and let's say it's Poncho and Dillon Thieneman, those would be the guys I'd frankly place as the highest priority. Not that I don't want Mateo back. That'd be my dream, of course, for a number of reasons. But positionally, having Thieneman there would be great, and I think that they could more readily plug and play a defensive lineman like Elijah Rushing, who's a former 5-star recruit, to fill the void left by Mateo than they could Dillon Thieneman. Now, they have recruited the safety spot really well. It's just at that point he will have had 3 years of college football under his belt, 1 in the defensive system. He could be an All-American this year. He's a preseason All-American selection. I think he's on the 2nd or 3rd team. He could be a first-team All-American maybe in 2026 if he comes back. And the same goes for Poncho. So if those 4 come back with Dante Moore, my Spencer scale of agreement on Oregon winning national championship, I cannot put it any lower than a 6.5. I'm not going to go crazy because that first one is, whenever it happens, it's going to be sweet. It's going to feel really, really good. But yeah, I'd put that one at a 6.5. Rick sends this one in. What's the advantage of having Dante Moore having been there about 1.5 years, sat behind Dillon and Austin for 2 or more who sat behind Dillon and Bo. Both have the experience in the offense versus bringing in a transfer. Both these guys are talented but lack game time. Your thoughts? So it is a somewhat curious spot for the Oregon quarterback room to be in, because you have 2 guys that are both in their 3rd year of college football. They were the same recruiting class. When Dante flipped to UCLA, Austin Novosad was the corresponding move on the recruiting trail for then offensive coordinator. Will Stein had been hired, I think, around that time. But I think Dillingham Dillingham would have been the one recruiting Novosad originally. But anyway, so it's a curious spot for them to be in, because ideally, when you think about the NFL, a backup quarterback is someone like Marcus Mariota. Why is Mariota a good backup? Well, he's been around the league for a long time. He's started a bunch of games. He's played a bunch of games. He got a chance to be a starter. I think Austin Novosad is actually the best backup quarterback that Oregon has had since Dan Lanning's been there, because last year you had redshirt freshman Dante Moore, who was picking things up and learning as he's going along, coming off of true freshman season, in which he turned the ball over a lot. And the year before that, it was Ty Thompson. And the year before that, it was Ty Thompson as the number 2 guy. So, pretty sure I have that right, timeline-wise in my head. I still feel good about what Novosad could do if, God forbid, Dante Moore gets injured and Novosad has to go into the game. I think both of these guys are good enough to be starting quarterbacks. They can make such high-level throws. The reason that I like having Novosad there as the backup, this is his 3rd year with Will Stein as the OC. He's watched this system. Remember, he joined the team, I think, a little early for the Fiesta Bowl in 2023. He wasn't supposed to get there until spring, but he was one of those guys that got there early. So, and he got into that game too. And so for him to have seen this system for 2.5 years now, huge advantage if he does have to go in. Now, it'll be the first time he's stepping onto the field and really seeing meaningful game action if he were to have to start at some point for one reason or another this year. But a guy that's been in the same system, he's going to know everything. I don't know what else you could possibly learn about the offensive system, how much better your relationship could be with your offensive coordinator, the communication, the chat, everything that goes into being a quarterback. How much better could it be? So it is different. That you can't expect the same floor of production that Bo and Dillon gave you because of their experience in college football. You can't expect that from either one of those guys. You can hope for it, you can't expect it. But for this quarterback room, I love the spot that they are in, because both guys have given themselves the best opportunity to be ready for the moment whenever it arrives. For Dante Moore, that's probably Saturday. For Austin Novosad, maybe that never comes with the Ducks. Maybe it does.